Alright, now Lamrim Kazaki that Lam Chewa Jevalia and Dorje de that Tamba and the Tenchu Zambala and the Pusu Subu Yusum Yores, Yusum de Carrelana, Jake Karsore, Idam Leishi Sivada, and the Sungi now Toba, and the Timber Sangi Jimne in Ma Sonje and the Tamgagi Barma Cheva Yudevade, Yovadela, Tenchu Subu Pusu Sumle says. Adi Anzuke that it Georgelia, Dick Pusu Sum that Tembare said, Otus Gene Shuare.
Good evening. So last week we came up to in the e-book version of the text to the top of page 9, where it was, or if you got the paper version, page 11, where it was mentioned that there are 3 conditions for a text to turn out to be excellent. 3 conditions in a composition need to be fulfilled. And those 3 conditions in relation to the author are that he must be skilled in the 5 areas of knowledge, that secondly, he must have had a vision of his yidam, and thirdly, that he must receive permission to teach. So those are the 3 conditions that if any one of them is fulfilled, a text will turn out well. But the Lama Atisha, for him, all 3 of these were fulfilled.
Sungdu Gari Sungorasene, and the Janshu Lamrin Yidanda Ma Sungorwa, Chazanda Janju Lamrin Ma Sungubaza, that Janju Lamrin Zomgan Suresne, George, Chazanda Georgi, Zombabuki, Kishiru, Yunden Mason in the Yores, Yunden Jugorwa, Yunden, and Jige, Jikje, Yunden Jugor, and Kishu, Chewa Jubasadi, and Chewa said Yundes or the Yundeshu Sungore.
The author of our text, the middle stages of graduated development to enlightenment. The author is Lama Tsongkhapa, and this is the middling version. There's also a great and a short version. All 3 have as their basis the text Lamp on the Path to Enlightenment by Lama Atisha. And as, therefore, Lama Atisha is the author of the foundational text for the 3 Lamrim texts that Lama Tsongkhapa would later compose, the qualities of Lama Atisha are presented by Lama Tsongkhapa right at the outset of this text.
Bendigo Yunden Puzun Soba in the Tembaina, that Lamegu Zumbu Sung di Chancho Lamrendi, that Kapal Papa Yore, the Zatelia, and Jike, Lobsang Dorje, Donye, Tibetan, Donalia, that Geshe Thubten Rabten.
And the purpose of this presentation of the qualities of the teacher at the outset of the text is that by ourselves as the readers, we come to recognize the qualities of the author. This will give us a deep trust in what has been composed and an enthusiasm to hear it. So therefore, Lama Tsongkhapa, at the outset of his middle Lamrim, he has presented the greatness of the author, the author who you could say is the foundational author of this text, Lama Atisha, because through hearing about what a remarkable being he was, we will have an enthusiasm to hear about what he had to say, and we'll be open and receptive to what he's presented.
Andadine Zadelma, the idem lay Casore, she siva de Dima, Shukore, Tamat. Della idem Yisho Sonwa Nisa, the Debales, Pedin Jeva Turjeta, Geshe Dorje Tang, Damsi Kuipi Gyabo Tang, Powo Jiti Wangchu Tang, Jo Jizun Jumaso, She Sik, Nawa Tobe Na, Milam Nayang, Ngosumdu, Sabatane Gyachevi, Damche Tato Semba Les, She Somba Tarosa.
Turning to the text where we concluded last week. So in the e-version, page 9, in the printed version, page 11. So you remember there were these 3 conditions for excellence in composition, and now we come to expand on the second and the third one. So to looking at the text, as for help from personal deities, Naxos Praise says, from the glorious Hevaja, from the Trisamaya Vaja Yura Raja, from heroic Lokasvara, from noble revered Tara and others, you had visions and permissions. Thus in dreams and through direct perception, you perpetually listen to teachings on the holy, profound and vast Dharma.
And them two could be Gabo said, all those in this would chessy barriers. And the Bedin Gideon Wachuk said, those in the chessy barriers said, and Jizun Drama and the chessy barriers says to Sumudwan. Chessy barriers and chessy was like them Karkarish like Karishesi barrielana, Bedin gave it to chessy barrier, and them two could be Gabo said the chessy barrier. Atisha
then had visions of Hevacha, Trisamaya Hara Raja, and Lokasvara and Tara. So of those 4 deities, he had visions. And what in the 4th line, and others implies, is that he had visions of other deities, but these were the 4 primary ones. In the 5th line, we see that Atisha had visions of these primary 4 deities and others, and also received authorization or permission from them to teach the Dharma, compose text, etc., because of the great benefit that would come to beings.
Then Milam Nayang Wasumdu, and the Sabbath and Gyachevi, and Damche Tato Sembali said. That is also and the Geshe see this and the church Shuvare, just not Lamas and the church, Lamas and the church Shuva, and Mazia and the Idam de Geshe, so Idam Zenema, church Shuva, and the Mosu Shuva. That Niku, Nilam also and the Sabbath and Gyachevi, Chetigata Sabbath, Tombani Kogi, Tombani church Yana, and Gyachewa, and Jamini Jashusem, and the Jimba Turmla Sopikin Yamringi Rimba, church Yala Sopa. And Sabbath Geshe Damcho Tato Sembale, said to Dinigate and be church and Dinigate do Tato Dinigate Sembare, said it.
Concludes with us in dreams and through direct perception. So as we've heard earlier in the presentation, Lama Atisha had visions both in dreams and seeing directly, in other words, not in a dream state, seeing his deities or his yidams directly. And in these interactions, in terms of he would have received explanation on the Holy Dharma, on both the profound, in other words, the wisdom realizing on emptiness, the topic of emptiness, as well as on the vast, bodhicitta and the various other practices of a bodhisattva. On both of these divisions, the vast and the profound, Lama Atisha received direct guidance in both from directly engaging with his yidams as well as through his dreams.
That 지순 드라마 시에서 바레스도 지순 드라마기 제 조지 별을 마페니엘은 지순 드라마 시에서도 지순 드라마기 경험 별을 패나 안데 템발을 빼면서 판도게 친구 그래서 지산 패나 계신 분 그래 이내다 구세도에서 통화주고 그래서 그 구세 통주고 그래서 세도에서 융화되기 그래서 세령 부채는 야가슈나 세령화되기 그래서 별 변에도 통주고 그래서 이내 결혼 별 변에 템발에 판도게 친구 그래서 이제 어디선 좀 여기 되는 송열에서 제시 되는 나열에 송도한 나열에서.
For example, when Atisha was residing in India, he had a vision of Tara, and Tara said, if you travel to the north to Tibet, there will be great benefits coming to the teachings if you were to do so. However, should you go to Tibet, whilst there'll be great benefit for the teachings, your life will be shorter than if you choose to stay in India.
안데네 라데 이담게 셰세바다 숨에 나와도 바디 니디도 전에 한 조어질 때 중화래서 다데네 담가게 유튜브상에 좀 되는 마제 숨기 담가디 유기 마체바 토야디 디고셔 주고 된 마다.
So this quotation is to deal with how Lama Atisha had visions of his personal deities and received their permissions to teach. Now we come to looking at how he attained the lineages of spiritual instructions.
아단 데네게 담가 쉬게 라마텔 규바 라마 규바라 타바 투모와당 타바 쳔베 아니 규바 이용거래 제 규바텔 라메 규비 니베텔라 규 라마 규바라 타바 투모와당 타바 쳔베 규바 니스 아니 데라 파로도 쳔바당 상아 니스 당보라 따위 규바당 쳔베 규바 니 한치마라 잠바네 규바당 잠야네 규바데 숨세제
Atisha held numerous lineages of gurus, such as the lineage of the common vehicle and the lineage of the Mahayana, which itself has two, the Paramita Yana and the secret Mantra Yana. He held three lineages in the Paramita Yana, the lineages of the view and of conduct, with the latter having been passed on in two lineages, one from Maitreya and one from Manjughosha.
나담보 라마 규바델 타바투모와 세디 나 타바투모와라는 안주게 지게 냐드에다라게 자슈 셈바 차상기 람템비게 라마 와다 타바투모와 세오데 지게 안주게 냠랭이 심바팅게 라마 디세네마 안담가 쉬요레서 담가 쉬요레서 라마 규바라 타바투모와 세디 타바투모에 람기 냠랭이 심바티게 차상 냠랭 가소레 냠랭이 심바 질랍 냠랭이 심바 담가디 네 조어질이야 요레서 라마 규바라 타바투모와 세도와 타바투모라나 타바투모들은 년도에 타바다라게 타바전스비 타바투모 지야 정물에 다 타바투모하세데 상아 돌지 타바투모 많이 매자 아니 퍼센티비 타바디 투모하세데 자야 진이 용물에 네가 투모하셔야지 투모하라 네가 용식이로 지단에
The lineages of Atisha received both the common lineage and the lineage of the Mahayana. So he received the blessings and the spiritual instructions on the lineages of practitioners of the Hira lineage, of the solitary realizer lineage, and of the Bodhisattva lineage.
자, 타바투모 알아도 타바딜라 근데 지게 지단에 와서 타바지들 람기 타바단 주대냐면 리바 타바스 제용으로 다 타바 숨세데 년도에 타바다라니 타바 저지세비 타바세 타바 니제죠. 야 타바 니스는 집에는 바로 주시면 타바다 안상아 도시데 타바세데 타바세데 망무자여로 하다 지나다 타바 투모와세 람냠리 림바디야 근데 지게 기후 숨여 람리림베 냠리 림바디야 안조어질려 요래 사차그로와 안데네 다다가 저니를 집에나다 타바 투모와세데 바로 집에 대비 람님 바세데 대라 소야도 오소 지야데다 바로 집에 대비 람님 바시고래 Lama Gubala, Taba Tumota, Taba Tumoma in Bigi, Tashi Tumome, Guba, Nies. That Della, and the Parodo Shimbigi, Taba Dang, Taba, the Tumoa said, Parodo Shimbe, Taba Dang, Gasore, Niba, Taba Chimbi, Guba Rimba Della. The Lama Gubala, Taba Tumoa said, Yandi Ranya Chanju Simbi, Taba Tumo, Yamli, Badi Chishobaji. That Taba Chimbi, love you. Taba Chimbi, Yamli Rimba Sadilla, and Garriorasana, Parodo Shimbi, Tibelam Rimba Sadina, and the Sanadus Tibelam Rimba, New York, Diniga Gubati, that George Liores is more Yamli Rimbadi.
There are many ways to divide up the Buddha's teachings. So here we see specific reference to the common vehicle and the lineage of the Mahayana. And even within that, there are different ways that it can be divided. So one will often hear about the lineages of the three types of practitioners, which are just mentioned, and that's the hero, solitary realizer, and the bodhisattva. And this can also be presented as another way to divide would be into the three scopes. So the practitioner of initial capacity, the practitioner of intermediate capacity, and the practitioner of supreme capacity. And another way to divide, for example, the common lineage is by way of path and method to accomplish the path. So there are a number of ways that the Buddha Dharma can be divided. So here we have first divided into the lineage of the common vehicle and the lineage of the Mahayana. And then the lineage of the Mahayana has itself two subdivisions, that are the Paramita Yana and the secret mantra yana.
Sewu chide lama gyube taba de la taba tumoa side taba tumoa side nyandue rangje chanju sembo sungo gi nyamling gi rimbadi. De digar yorasna dame bato be tawa shirap nyamling chia chimbo churin soba chunri nyamling chia dige chasan nyamling chia taba tumoa nyamling chi gorwa. Deso nyamling gi rimbadi ke chasan an joji le tengyo reside tade taba tumoa side nyandue rangje chanju semba disumbi taba tumoa nyamling gi rimbadi. To
express it then clearly in relation with our text, the lineage of the common vehicle, we understand this as being the trainings of the practitioners of the three types, hera, solitary realizer, and bodhisattva. And they'll be practiced because there are practices common to all of them, such as the wisdom realizing selflessness, generosity, ethical restraint, and so forth. So therefore, these practices which are common to the three types of being, hero, solitary realizer, or the three lineages of hero, solitary realizer, and bodhisattva, that is what is referred to here as the common lineage.
And then, Taba Chimbigi, Lama Gyubi Rimbatela, that Taba Chimbutela, and the Garriorasene, that Parudu Chimbe Tabada, Sangadur Tepi, and Tabasura Ni Shigorni.
Then we see the Mahayana. That lineage has two subdivisions, Paramita Yana and Secret Mantra Yana.
On the Parudushimbe Tebige Tabatela, Delaya, and Tayu Cuba Tang, Jubi Cuba, Ase, Jubi Yamlin Cuba, Set, Yin Shihore.
The perfection or Paramita Yana, perfection vehicle Paramita Yana, that itself has two divisions. This isn't explicitly mentioned in the text, so in addition, the perfection vehicle has two divisions, that of view and conduct.
And Timba Surin Sevala Soba, Yamne Parachiki, Jubi Yamne Sikura, Tisan Yamling Rimbatella, that Ganjele, Lam Tapshini Yamnejo, Tombani to be Shira Yamnejia, and a Tapki Cha, Nejam, Janjisimu, Simbi Tone, Timba the Surin Soba, someday, and the Son Yamnejia, and the Jubi Yamling Rimba Sikura, Tisan the Nigans that Davi Gubi Chikta, and Jubi Yamling Guba, and Yamling Chimbasi Yungo, etc.
Paramita Yana. This then has these two divisions of view and conduct. View refers to training in emptiness, cultivating the wisdom realizing emptiness, the correct view. And then conduct refers to all the other trainings, such as cultivating bodhicitta, generosity, ethical restraint, and so forth. And in training in the perfection vehicle, both of these, view and conduct, need to be cultivated.
Chöbigi nyamlengi chöba baru tushimba nyamlengi rimba tela, ane gyachebe lamyi rimba nyamlen chetan tela, ane jizun jamba kumbani gyubigi nyamlengi rimba chikche, jizun jamba yani gyubigi nyamlengi rimba chikche, teniki gyubi nyamlengi rimba niyungo rejere.
So the perfection vehicle has its two divisions of view and conduct. View can also, as we had earlier, can be referred to as the profound, and conduct can be referred to as the vast. And they came from the Buddha through to differing lineages. So the view, or the profound, came through the lineage of Manjushri, from the Buddha through Manjushri, and that of conduct, or the vast deeds, that came from the Buddha through the lineage of Maitreya.
Dine zada benem da gewa jamba ne gyubi nyamlen ba khare lamna da temba sang yu jumnen digi ma ndona ma anjige tyaba chimbi yu chue nyamlen gi rimba sung shaba di jizun jamba kombe gi ma ande papa thome ma sung barwa da sung de kan sung gore sene jeza semje tamje gyu de sangje go ba to lam nyamlen che bala da bo jam ni je ane janshu sem ye dene gombala dene ane di simbi to janju simbi to ne jimbo surun soba junjo samden di nyamlen je gore ese sung gore ba lam nyamlen irin ba che ta de jeza da di sung yo de jeza jizun jamba kombe din ma sung ya di janju nyamlen rin ba shi de 당보 장주 심계라 균의 맹아 뒤냠서 림에 손에 누스진 방냄 전에 한 당보 제가 마시 당념공 되는 마시 진진진소 이원 잠바 되네 니지 셴보 라산 남다 kom 되네 장주 심계 되네 장주 심이 심비 되네 진바 주전 서버 준비 삼단디게 냠네 제고래서 어디 냠네 좀 봐셔야 되다 지금 제만이 규비게 잠반에 파바토메송 파바토메게다 된 말라만 마마송 된 말라메기 마송 된 마지 지세 타마 아니지 가소래 조지기 냠술 죽담가데 쉬게 닌 담가데 차상 윤 맞춰 상이 좀된 마송비게 윤디 맞춰봐제 아니 조지 봐도 조지기도 스님네 나요래서 담가데 조지를 요래서
Looking then at the lineage from Maitreya, so this is the conduct or the vast teachings of the Buddha. So the lineage goes from Buddha Shakyamuni through Maitreya to primary students such as Asanga, all the way through to Lama Atisha, who possessed this lineage in its entirety. All the spiritual instructions relating to the vast teachings of the Buddha, the conduct teachings that Lama Atisha came to possess or to attain those lineages, those spiritual instructions. So what is included then in the conduct lineage is that in order to be that one needs to generate bodhicitta through reflecting on how all sentient beings want happiness, to be freed of suffering, and using that as the basis to cultivate love, compassion, and then bodhicitta. And to generate bodhicitta, in particular, the training of the 6 causes and 1 effect method is utilized. So that starts with training in impartiality, and then recognizing all beings as having been one's mother, and so forth. Training to the point where one develops love, compassion, the altruistic attitude of universal responsibility, and bodhicitta. And thereafter, the perfections of generosity, ethical restraint, patience, joyous perseverance, and single-pointed concentration, or the union of calm abiding and meditative insight. So those are all the trainings included within the vast lineage, or the conduct lineage, that went from Buddha Shakyamuni, or goes from Buddha Shakyamuni through Maitreya to Asanga, and on through the lineage lamas to Lama Atisha. And all of these spiritual instructions, the complete lineage, he possessed.
다 지선 전배하는 규배에 가려라나 다 템바상유 좀된데기 도난마 아니 지게 람냠능이 림바 손셰게디 다 지선 전배양게 템바상유 좀된데 마슈 되네 템바 지선 전배양게 되네 마 아니 지게 지가 가서래 람냠능이 림바 손도 당보 아니 잠니시곰 그래서 다신냠치기 돈에 잠 다신냠치곰 즉 마시 진진진으로 고 먹어시든 마 당번에 다신냠치곰 다신냠치곰비 돈에 이제 다산남다곰 되네 자주심게 자주심심비 돈에든 진바 주저저버 전주 삼제 원냠는치기 림바디 다 다신냠치 요거네 자주심게 이제 한 람냠는 림바 써야지 다 좀바상 요즘에 되네 지선 지선 전배양에서 지선 전배양은 마 라마림바신 도스는 송제네 안 되는 마안 유비기 되는 균 맞춰봐제 안디 지선 가서래 조직이 되네 담가제 세요레스 담말 조절요레스.
The second lineage, that of the view of the profound. So this is, as with the conduct lineage, this is within the Paramita Yana. So these are the sutra teachings of the Buddha. So the lineage here goes from Buddha Shakyamuni, his sutra teachings. The lineage goes from Buddha Shakyamuni to Manjushri. And these teachings then are, again, how to cultivate bodhicitta, but here the method is that of equalizing and exchanging self with others. Thereafter, having generated bodhicitta, independence of the method of equalizing and exchanging self with others, engaging in the perfections of generosity, ethical restraint, patience, joyous perseverance, and single-pointed concentration. Atisha also possessed all the spiritual instructions related to this lineage. So this lineage too, he possessed completely.
는 군로 장주심이 심바시고 거봐. 지나 군로 장주심이 심바들 장주심 생고데 장주심계게 탑람되라 다 다샤냠지고 가서래 윤제 맹야 둔주고네 곰나 람냠내림 바 직제 다샤냠지고네 람냠내림 바시다 림바니 니셔데 디르와다 단다디니레 군로 장주심이 심비고네 냠내 저거바자 다 군로 장주심이 장주심계들라 아니 탑람되라 윤제 맹야 둔주고네 냠내시다 림바디 템바상유 점대 대산에 한 여와 잠바기 슈 예와 잠바기 파바토메로 손 파바토메게 된마 근데 림바 라마 림바 좀 두신 슈이시나 타마 안가 소리지야라 조지기 가수 냠바 손 담가 슈바레 슈요레스 다 다야 제 심자 탐지기 대바침에 취 냠내지 군론 장슈 셈 개와다 안 다시 냠지 요거네 아니 지게 냠내 림바디 템바상예 좀 되네 지수 잠바 컴베슈 지수 잠바 컴베게 아니 게세시와라 침보다 낭 게세시와라 침보니 마 규진다 바마 제바제 니여바디 아니 다지 조지기 도시네 센제 제산 되네기 장슈 셈 태바침비 취 냠내지 군론 장슈 셈디 아니 냠내 림바 니요와디 규베 니요와디 디 니가 아니 냠내 림바 담가디 한 조지를 요래서 그러다.
The entry to the trainings of the Mahayana Dharma is the cultivation of bodhicitta. And there are two techniques, two methods to cultivate, to generate bodhicitta within one's continuum. So these two different lineages, Atisha possessed them both. All the spiritual instructions completely he possessed. So the one lineage of these Paramita Yana Sutra teachings went from Buddha Shakyamuni through Maitreya to Asanga and on through the lineage lamas to Atisha. This is the method of the 6 causes and 1 effect to generate bodhicitta. The second method, that of equalizing and exchanging self for others, this lineage, which went from Buddha Shakyamuni through to Manjushri, to Nagarjuna, Shantideva, and through the lineage to Atisha. This entire lineage of spiritual instructions, Atisha also possessed. Therefore, both techniques for cultivating bodhicitta, Atisha possessed the lineages of them both.
안에 지진 잠반의 규비게 네 바로 집에 냠내자 람카하로 쉬어서 삼산지 카하요마 집이지게 아래 진배 냠는들에 개발 요말 수림 냠내 개발 전주심내 개발 요말에 지금 냠내 집이 지간에 개발 요 가르 개발 요래서는 태과 천벽이 냠내 제발라 전주심 기고고래 전주심 개발라 전주심 기위 냠랭기 림바 탑람데라 딸이 미라 이줄와 제산 균제 맹야 균유권에 두시 림바신도 방림제네 마 안직 냠내 제다림 바 직제 디레 또 원보 로덥체 줄이야 지금 마신 마장 먹고 지곧 감사 이니 잠니진 마 삼다시 다신 냠제 꼼제 다가란도 스토토야지 용하면서 장주심 기에게 탑람데라 안에 됐습니다 니조하래 마도 장주심 잠니지 고미하다 안드네야 장주심 기에다 장주심 기 파진 주변 냠내제라 대술에 켜봐 가야 마 지비지게 하다.
Here what one should be clear of is whilst they are these two different lineages coming from Buddha Shakyamuni, they shouldn't be seen as two distinct, separate paths. That is not the case. Because both of them have so much in common. They both are techniques for generating bodhicitta based on the arisal of love and compassion, and having generated bodhicitta, engaging in the practices of generosity and so forth. The only difference between the two is the two lineages is two different techniques to generate bodhicitta. That's the difference, but they are not two separate, distinct paths because so much they share in common. It's just the lineage from Maitreya is the technique for generating bodhicitta, the 6 causes and 1 effect method, and the lineage from Shakyamuni through Manjushri. There, it's a technique of equalizing, exchanging self with others to generate bodhicitta. So it's just two different techniques for generating bodhicitta. Thereafter, they are the same.
데네게 냠내린 바치다 안에 데네게 규바숨시데 지디다데 따위 규바들에 제사 따와 따위에 따 자모동방이 또베 따위기 냠내기 림바 규바디야 안도시네 조어질에 덴바레스 다된바상에 좀내 되기 따위에 냠내 제게다 가제랭하는 저기 상기고 바토발라 안에 자주심 요구내라데 진보수르서 저런 냠내 안에 띵에 좀 냠내 제고래 세지 송거와 대디 냠는 제바 잠기 안에 상여고 토투그레 두고 말에 녀모 바샤다 제바 빵고고레 디빵발라 동방이 따와 공고레 세디 다 냠는 이름 바데 죄베 냠는 이름 바다 따외 냠는 이름 바니 송고르와 지나다 따외 냠는 이름 바디 덴마는 지준 잠바 공비 파파 토메레 냠는 이름 바 용고레 이나도다 지준 잠베야는 마 규신 공부루르블라서 바데네 마 규베기 냠는데 따외 규바 냠는데 이거라 디인자 디 냠는 이름베데 이제 담마티야 조어질이야 덴바레스 제가 데네자다 조어질이야 안에 바로 준비 자주 셈 냠는 또 준비 토하는 냠는지나 자마케와 잠바네 공비게 규비게 담마티야 안지 발마 제바지 조어질이 요래 안에 지선 잠베야는 마 규비게 냠는 이름바디야 안 담마티야 발마 제바지 조어지게 요래 안에 따위 냠는 이름베게 담마티야 바균 마셔봐지 않아 지순제 가서 조실에 덴바레 지선 규바 숭바 덴바레 에사데 담마 숭바데 덴바레 에사데 숭고레 젬베 안에 공부를 데 숭고를 등에 어디
Looking here at the text, he held 3 lineages in the Paramitayana, the lineages of the view and of conduct. I've been speaking thus far about conduct, which has its 2 subdivisions. That's how one gets to 3 lineages of the Paramitayana. The view being 1, and then there are 2 of conduct. Conduct, again, being the cultivation of bodhicitta and the first 5 perfections. Then in terms of view, Atisha also possessed this lineage in its entirety. And the lineage of the view it also comes from Buddha Shakyamuni, his sutra teachings through Manjushri and Nagarjuna, through the lineage lamas to Atisha. And the view is essential because the lineage engaging in the vast trainings or the trainings of conduct, these alone will not lead to enlightenment because they do not sever the afflictions from their root, the afflictions and their seeds from their root. One has to also cultivate the wisdom realizing emptiness. Therefore, the perfection of wisdom is what is meant by the view. And that lineage, from Buddha Shakyamuni through Manjushri and Nagarjuna, the lineage of the perfection of wisdom, this was also held by Atisha completely.
네 다리 공부루르나야 용거래 당한주 넘균데다 지 초신의 따위에 냠는 이름 바주와서 지수 잼배하는 마 공부루르 마스 샤고 순거래 니순와데 가르선 조 공부루르게 조 되가 소셰베게 되게 도날 마셔야 조데 네 실신이 도날라 조 동반이 용어서 순거래 저 동반이 용어서 송제 뭐된래야 니 지게 베네 안에 가서래 파르드심에 람리림 바디 순고래 셰르싱이 도나는 봐. 제자디 셰르 도나 송와디 셰르징 도나는 베네 순셰바디 베네스도 지 순고여 발라 만주 람사 세부하고 마트와시야 베네 순고래 제. 디 베네 송바디 지준점바 공백에 파 세부스에네. 원도게 마송진 파 냠리림 바디 파 동이 림바디 띵고어데 동이 림보 조 마지바지 조 셰싱이 되네 소 베드인 림바디게 파 모수 조진 순고래스. 지자디 순고하래 제래. 되네 공부루르기 뇌가 송베게 다 셰신 뇌가 송베게 셰신이 냠렌다 팔가 소래 야시베 람지리베 냠렌 이기 나나 조다 동반이 거디 자와시럽지 가서 제도되는 동이 거시마다 람냠리르바 자주sem고 니지고금 디디 람디제 오르세디 파지가 소래 순고 말했어. 동반이 거잖냐 동반이 냠렌지 다디 거 냠렌 곰나 림바다 냠레 림바 순고레스 지나 공부루르기 동반이 거에 자위셔라je 가서 동반이디 뒤에 가서 무슨 셰베게 동반이 파 자료되는 순고여 봐자 대다위 기바셔야지 공부루르 마도 전에 샤야 돼 되래 금전으로 지되래.
So in presenting the meaning of the conduct lineage of the Paramitayana, I explained how there are those two subdivisions, where there's the lineage that comes from Manjushri and the one that comes from Maitreya, and I explained that the difference between them is solely in terms of the technique for the generation of bodhicitta. And then in terms of the lineage of the view, I mentioned how this comes from Manjushri through to Nagarjuna and onto Atisha. So that is how we usually present this. But here, just to add, don't make the mistake of thinking the lineage of the view was solely coming through Manjushri, and that the perfection of wisdom was only presented by Manjushri and Nagarjuna and other masters in that lineage. The view was also presented by Maitreya and Asanga and so forth. But when we talk about the lineage of the view, we tend to turn towards Manjushri and Nagarjuna and so forth, because in their teachings, in particular that of Nagarjuna's, he explicitly clarified the Perfection of Wisdom sutras. He wrote about the perfection, or clarified the meaning of the Perfection of Wisdom sutras in a way that is unparalleled, unrivaled. So therefore, when we think of the lineage of the view, what comes to mind will be Manjushri, Nagarjuna, and so forth, that lineage. But the view was also taught by Maitreya to Asanga and other lamas in that lineage. But in texts such as the Ornament of Clear Realization, there the view is not explicitly taught, but implicitly taught. So therefore, one needs to, maybe you could say, read between the lines, look for the view presented at a deeper, more hidden, non-explicit manner. So therefore, in the teachings from Maitreya, one will find the view presented, but only implicitly, not primarily explicitly, but rather primarily implicitly. Whereas, again, the teachings from Nagarjuna, there he explicitly and primarily taught the view. That being said, Nagarjuna also did teach teachings, presented the conduct side of teachings, the vast side of the teachings as well. But his primary focus was that on clarifying the Perfection of Wisdom sutras. So therefore, In brief, both lineages present view and conduct, but the lineage from Manjushri Nagarjuna explicitly, as well as primarily, focused on clarifying the perfection of wisdom, the view, and therefore that's who we call to mind on the view side of teachings. And on the conduct side, this was explicitly and primarily presented in the Maitreya Asanga lineage, although the view was implicitly presented too.
And go Mulurubgi, Tony, Yamado, Yachiva Lamni, Yamlin, Chidrim, Sun Yomareves, and that ticket to water shone, Sun Yore. Gomuluruki, Lam Yamli, Rimbatin, and Yamlan Jawara said, Tanganjugi, some Dana, Yamli Basungoro, initiating Siata, Omarinji Chawa said, it is not a Yamli Rimbati Sungore. That is, as Ume Denjugan and so Zawadi, Karsukas, Zawa Shirap, or Zawa Shirap. Chidang Kumbuluruki. Kumbuluruki, Zawa Shirap, Nera Sumbe Kapla, within sharing Duke Sip, Tony, but Janjan Sumadol, Lam Yamli, but Sunyomar, was Sunyomares. Jeza and Dilma, Mato Kumbuluruki, Lam Yamli, Bagune, Masumba, Gune, Pishgune, Sume, Vikimare, Sunyo, Tadinga Garsosa, and Umiki Tenju, Zawa Sures and Zawa Shirare, Zawa Shirap Yakapsu, now Kumbuluruki, Tony, but Janja Sumata, Lam Yamli, but Sunyomares. And in a Parchingi, Yamlinji, Rimba, Zawadi, Chizin Jambacum, Wondo Yen says, Mato, Chizin Jambacum, Tony, Namja, Sebo, Sunyomaras, and Dinemara Sunyore. In that Wondo Genji Kapsu, sharing in Yamling, Dugi, that sharing attention and so the Dambo, Wondo Yen Chak, Wondo Yen Chakore. Some Wondo Yen said, Wondo Genji Kapsu, Karsungoras, and sharing Duke of Bene Suns, Lamji Rimbadi, so Sungore. Mato Tony Rimbadi, so Sungoma, so the Bedin Rimbadi, so song. Delia Tony Rimba Sungore, Mother Bedin Basunga Dinza, that the Ayanjugi and Dinenza, that Madoshe, Chisin Jamogumbe, Jachi Lamjirim Basonje, that Tony Kozawa in Sumeva, that Denji Meva, Gunemare, Dinemeva Mare, and Gomuluki, Tony Namja, Sonje, Jachi Lamjirim, Sun Yomareves and Din Sumeva Kishimare, that's all Zavi. Parchingi, Shung, Yamling, Jimba, Jachu, Lamji, Shung, Kuntu Sadi, Wondo Genji. The Wondo Genji Kapsoda, so sharing do bedding in but so watching also Sungo Bata and DJ. That Umegi Lamjing as Kuntu said that our share of Kuntu. Tisans our sharety, Tikaso, sharing and Dugi, and within 20 years, but so watching some of the bedding in but there wasn't Wondo Genji Sungo Bata, with watching the Sumason, the new Koran, the dossier done that.
So therefore, when you call to mind these lineages, be aware that both lineages taught both vast and the profound. But when you, for example, you call Nagarjuna to mind, what texts tend to come to mind is the text fundamental wisdom or root wisdom. This is what tends to come to mind when we think of Nagarjuna, the foundational text where he clarified the perfection of wisdom sutras. But he did so there, and that's a text then on the profound teachings of the Buddha. But he also taught the vast or the conduct side of the teachings in texts such as Letter to a Friend, or which we taught here some years ago, or Precious Garland. So he did teach the conduct teachings, but he's primarily known for his wisdom teachings, his profound teachings. And similarly with Maitreya, in his text, Ornaments of Clear Realizations. When we think of Maitreya, that is the text that comes to mind, and in there he explicitly presents the conduct side of the path, the vast teachings. But within that, in a hidden manner, emptiness was also taught. So therefore, both lineages present the vast and the profound, but with the lineage from Maitreya, what primarily comes to mind, because it was explicitly taught, are the conduct side of the teachings, the vast side of the teachings. And with Nagarjuna, again, whilst he taught both the vast and the profound, it's the profound that primarily comes to mind, because this is what he was most renowned for, and his teachings on fundamental wisdom, is what clarified best, or most clearly, the Perfection of Wisdom Sutras.
On that, the Sangha Yuba Lamrim Rimbada, Temba Sanyo Chun Maji, and the Dursin Tambuki, Tamadi, Parma Chabadia, George Leores, Chideta Dinea, Sangha Layan, Yuba Lukungadang, Shaya, and Tupti Cuba, and Jinlebu Cuba, Tamana Sobi Cuba Soba, Yuba Dumada Tensions.
Continuing the text, in the secret Mantrayana, he had received 5 types of transmission, as well as many other lineages, such as the lineage of tenets, the lineage of blessings, the lineage of various instructions.
On the Nigida, Juba, Midawar Chick, the Nigger, look Nazia, the Bene Sawa, Chidange, Sawa, Sawi, Cuba, Sanchi, Sawi, Cuba, Siada, Yanachik, Dene, and the Sawa Tupiki, Cuba, Tama, Cuba, Siada. Dorje Chichi and the Tamga Cuba Soba, Denigi, Cuba Ziaki, Denigi, and Nga, Cuba Rimbanga, Denigi Rimbanga, Denigi Tamga de Anjo, Chile, or Esad, and Shaya, Dupti Cuba, Chick Dupti Cuba, and Jinlep Cuba Sada, Tamga, Tana Sopa Sidu, then Chick Dupti Cuba, Dianjik, Jinle Cuba Soba, Denigi, Naso, Denigi, Tamana Sobi Cuba Chazada, Tamadi. Temba Sanyo Chumden Maji Gune, Parma Cheba, Georgia, Damati Rayo, Sunyo, Damashu, Georgia, or Eswata.
Lineage of secret Mantrayana. This also came from Buddhist Shakyamuni, and as we see here, Lama Atisha possessed complete lineages of transmission, 5 types of transmission, as well as many other lineages, as mentioned here. So it would also would include the complete lineages of practices associated with Guru Samaja, Yamantaka, and others. So, and all of this then originally was taught by Buddha Shakyamuni, and these lineages were possessed completely by Lama Atisha too.
Denigi da yu mangor kiedra san dengan juga anju jue di membe da saja ke yu nima ki resuma chi yu mangor wa de yu da chan de ke denigi juba ke denigi nyamle ki jimba juba de ba tamga de jin ni jin ma san kem ba san yu jumden ma tamga yu jin le de le jin da denigi na so be juba se denigi juba na so mangbo an de tamga de ba an juba tamga de chasan jo ji le yo re so sung go ba da.
When we see here, as well as many other lineages, so we can understand, I mentioned, for example, Gyasamaja, Yamantaka, also Haruka, but there will be also those that now we more associate with different schools of Tibetan Buddhism. So these lineages of mantra or tantra, Atisha possessed and transmitted.
Keju de nima gelu ge tamga si jo chi liyo sa di chi la go mare kanjele kaze dangan ju gyu na ne da gyu na ne sang tu be ge de chi ju ge de ge je jo gyu an nga ju ge da di kar so re du ho la so ba de ni gyu mang bu ge da damga di sa ba ma che bu ngu re sa chi ma do da de keju ka so re sa ja ke ju nima gyu sa de.
So sorry, not the different lineages of associated with Tibetans, varying Tibetan schools, because those divisions were only clarified later, but we can rather relate to it as lineages relating, as I mentioned, to Guru Samaja, Yamantaka, Haruka, and also deities such as Kalachakra.
Musu sembiki lama, said Lama gates and the Chu Musu Shuya, Lama de Ye, Ganiscana Yoresine, Dubalia, Georgia, Dubopi, Duven, and the Cariosna. Daudo Timbi Lamani, Shendi Bata, selling Baha Sech. And then Bada Bodi Yana Shiris, Murup Toba, Mongbotang, Chabaru Duni, Lurup Ne, Gine, Jidu Yubayi, Sabatane, Jachebe, damwa kyola ngawa yin she sungpa tar deese.
The text continues. The gurus from whom he heard instructions directly are mentioned in the praise. The gurus you always relied on were the many who had accomplished siddhis, Santipa, Selingpa, Bhadra Bodhi, Yanashri. In particular, you held the profound and vast instructions that had passed from one to another all the way from Nagarjuna.
Sempike Lama Tila, Tautu, Numyun, Bazor, Lama Zoro, Timbecarrios, Lama Shendi Bajiries, Lama Selling Passadries, all those in that, but that makes Henry Sungwad, Murti Lama Mambuyore, Sage. The Nigeda, Angele, Denigi, Gine Gucci, Saba, and Yachava, the Saba, that don't you topic, don't buy it down, don't buy it to be David Yamling Cuba. And Yachewa Parod Shimbig, the Jamni Jajusem Lasso Kumbig, Yamlerin Batamachazan, George Leore, now I said to Sonia Disundua.
So, independent of what I've just presented, then the meaning of this quotation should be quite clear. So here we see some of Atisha's primary teachers, of which Selingpa to us is the most well known. And then we see there that he, in particular, you held the profound and vast instructions. So this we've heard before. The profound refers to the profound view, the wisdom the cultivation of the wisdom realizing emptiness, and the vast refers to all the other practices, such as the cultivation of bodhicitta, generosity, and so forth. And these lineages were possessed by Atisha. It is well known that Atisha had 12 gurus who had attained siddhis and many others too. Here Lama Tsongkhapa is referring to the 12 famous teachers that Atisha had, and referencing that he was known to also have many teachers in addition to them. The text continues, it has already been explained that he was learned in the 5 areas of knowledge.
Georgie and Geo Comba, Sanjegi, Leo Gondo Comba Jane, Danger Zumbala, net danger some Zoya again, get news of Zumba New Year, catch it and natural Yore or that.
The paragraph concludes, for all these reasons, this master was able to establish the victor's intention skillfully. All these reasons, so this refers to what we've looked at tonight and also what we looked at in our last session last weekend. So the verse at the top, or the paragraph at the top of page 9, we're referring to, there are 3 conditions for excellence in the composition of a text clarifying the sage's intention. And that paragraph ends with, the great Atisha possessed all 3. So now we've looked at those 3. The first being that he was learned in the 5 areas of knowledge, which were language, logic, craft, medicine, and the Buddha Dharma, and then that he had visions of personal deity, so if you looked at that in the first quotation, and from them that he received the permissions to teach, and permissions to teach. So therefore, Lama Atisha possessed completely all the qualifications that are required for text to be of great benefit.
Goba Gimtero, Karachago, Chisa, Georgi, Sunjipe, Tenju Telepe, Kung, Tuba, Ben, Chigi, Manoa, Matua, and Ganzu Yamlin Jabala, Lam, Manzula, Sampata, Jores, the Yubi, Yoretenza, Garson, Koronshi, Denis Chavare, Chisa, Ribini and Ala Cavare, and Denigi, Idam He, Shesu, Sisha, and the Coronadina, some the degrees and now Toba. And the chick dampati much of Yun much about you Damadi Yubanza, the nigger danger to Baliata, Tinsume danger del bear, must put it up for the Yawashu, Giore, so done. Deli young as Yamlin Chevalia, and Tesum Jawata, the Nekanayana, the Yamlin Yapujon Tuina, chick danger de Tata, no Lamdapa, Tembachiana, Mena, no 2 years and begin Topachewa, Maram San Dushin, Yamlin, the degree, Saji, and Dushin Sungorvada.
Here, Lama Atisha, Lama Tsongkhapa, is presenting the foundation for us to have trust in what he is going to compose, because he's presenting some of the many qualities of the author of the foundational text or the source text, Lamp on the Path. And here he is encouraging us to recognize some of these many great qualities of Lama Atisha so that we can have confidence in the foundational text and therefore the text that we are going to be engaging with now over some years. Because by recognizing how great the foundational teacher is, we can understand that he trained his own mind in the way that he laid out in his text, Lamp on the Path. And therefore, if such training led to him attaining such remarkable results, it will for us as well. Therefore, we should abandon any doubts, any hesitations, and rather open ourselves and be receptive to what will be presented in this text, because what's presented here is the complete and unmistaken way that we should train our minds in the correct sequence of trainings so as to bring about the result that we desire, that of complete enlightenment.
Dine Zadang Jugi Lam Yamlin Chevada Toba Kule Kevala Lamigi Damadi Yechimuzi or Chiza Damaku or such. Chiza Dineza Janju Lamrin Yamlin Chevaina and Dama de and Parmachukinchipa Yores, Chizada and Delekin Mares or Lamigi Dama Mena, Yaji Gazo Comro Chikavine, Tobakia del Galakabuti, Junibu, Koya, the Lelabiki Matuada. Descaleka, Musura Dama Mena, Chizna Damadi in Chimichukure, Chizna the Nigi Georgi, Lamrin de Lam Chebana, the Damadi, Barma Chebadi, to Sin Udebare, Sasna. Yajike George, Daddy, Danger Delia, no other true Yumares, Carsene, Cabares, Benedigo, Delia, and Reed Casore, Tribinian Cabares. Kaba imamaze lama mangbo zan duksine chöshin lama mangbo denje duksine chöshin nyamlen jebares 제가 냠는 제네 소수게 또보이 길에 기반자 이담래 셰시 바래 제가 또보이 연대요레스 제가 개발에 퇴섬 유능부 제발에 곰망부 잡아래 네 잡아도 또보이 길에 기신 이담래 셰시 바래 셰시 바마제 이담게 리 나와 톱되요레 제가 되니 인자 된주들에 노와요 말레스 노와도 추어요 말레스 maybe 김센들라 된주라 퇴섬 뭐부 리베 내가라 개발 롭죠 망고 제바 라마 망부 전에 쉬쉬 냠는 제바 안데네게 소소 꼼 잡아라 때네 네 또보이 길에 기신네 네 이담래 셰시 바래 제가 나와 톱바래 제가 디텐주 좀 받을 노트용 말레스 딱 가브리엘이야 지금 저기 나도 지티샤는 너를 먹어서 이루어지는 지티디레스만 너를 먹어서 지티네 너를 먹어야나 이 제수자진 염len 지제베네 안도고 줄이게 깔 하고로와 제가다 장주 람른들라 누르요 말레스 매일 김전 가래 삼나 라마 망부에서는 쉬바레스 담마디게 찾아 또 쉬바레스 아니 대야 아니 망부 롭죠 리벤냥ala 캐바 차바레스 캐바 차마제 냠는 제발에 때네 소수게 또보길래 이담시 레시에시 바레스 지금 순게 나와 톱되어레스 지금 되니 인자 노기네요 말레스 자디 다 부이다고 땡주디 라마 부이다고 인자 라메 디게 준비 땡주디 부이다고 연구해서 뭐 라마 부이다고래 지금 라마리아 또고 제와야 다 가고요 말레스 지금 라미기 노트자오기네요 말레스 냠는 제는 소수일라 네 판도 연구해서 하죠 단다지 송고로
What we also see here is the Lama Tsongkhapa, in his rendering of Lama Atisha's biography in brief, he's showing us how we should train as well. For example, we see that Lama Atisha possessed so many lineages of spiritual instructions. And this is of great importance, that one receives spiritual instructions or pith instructions from one's teachers. And one needs to do so from over a sustained period so that these instructions are complete, and from a skilled teacher so that they are free of fault. Because without receiving this training, these spiritual instructions, no matter how much one meditates, one will not gain realization. Will certainly not gain profound realization. And this is the example that Atisha presented in the way he lived his life, as well as all the other great lamas. And moreover, we can see that Atisha wasn't an ordinary person. He made great effort over his life, becoming skilled in the 5 areas of knowledge through relying on many teachers. And not only did he acquire knowledge, but because he had so many visions, both in his dreams and directly, we know he had integrated the teachings on a profound level, and thereby was having direct engagement with his yidams. And his yidams were, through granting him permission or authorization to teach and to compose, we can also have confidence not just in his knowledge, but that he had integrated that knowledge to a profound level within his mind. And therefore, we can have great confidence in the foundational text, that of Lamp on the Path, knowing that it is free of error. Because if I were to write a text, for sure, there would be errors in the text. And if people were to try and rely on something that I had written, because there were errors, it would impede their realization. Whereas what Lama Atisha has written here, this is completely free of error. And we can see this from his biography, relied on many teachers, made great effort over many years, and he transformed his mind, hence visions throughout his life, and receiving permission and instructions. So those 3 qualities. And therefore, because the Lama, the foundational text, is of such great quality, we can have confidence in his spiritual instructions. And we can, when hesitation or doubt or apprehension arises in our mind, we can dispel that, open ourselves, and in this way, we too will transform our minds.
안다 되네게 당한 주게 조지기 다지기 연된 계시 되네지 양한주야 남다도 지네 제름 장한주 되네 연된 요래세지 송요도 당한 주게 원에 당한 주게 소소게 지게 삼나다야기 소소를 개변내게 소소게 냠는 제야ገል이야 니간에 삼당고 그래라나 다디네게 남다리 조지기 남다리 정아주 파 퇴용도 겁라 조지세야 되는 뱀마시기 지게 로 망부링리아 안에 퇴섬 검숨제 라마 망부띠 지게 내내게 똑바규라게 이담레시에시 안에 지게 담아디데 바마죠 균마치베 되네게 송디어 지게 받베 마생원에라네 자침부지다 안에 지게 시호지레도 선배게다 될이야 제수이라체야데 저게 즉 제수이라체야다 안조젤이야 먼저 대바체야 the Dini Ganzu Dalaria, Denigi Yamlin Najene, Janju Lamrim Ganzulia, Chick Cheto Songa de Bema, Secretary Chimbori, Sadi, Georgia, Chick Yendelia, and the Jesu Iranchia, and the Georgia, Devagia, and the Georgia, and Hanzuki. Getting Chinganzulia, getting Chimboshuris, getting Jistadi, and the Dustin some Dangwa, Chagor, Dangu, Danganzuru.
The purpose for Geshe presenting so clearly but in brief Lama Atisha's many great qualities is that through getting to know Lama Atisha through their biography, we come to understand how he engaged in study, reflection, and meditating intensely over many years, relying on many teachers, resulting in him receiving visions from his yidams, and thereby also permissions, authorizations from his yidams to teach and propagate the Dharma. And therefore, we can know that Atisha was no ordinary being. We can then rejoice in his great efforts, generate an appreciation for his great efforts that he engaged in, not solely for his own betterment, but for the betterment of us, of all sentient beings. And therefore we can rejoice at our own good fortune, recognize how truly fortunate we are to have encountered a text such as this.
Chinkewa Jesu Iranchea, Andelia, Devakia, and Dene, getting Jesu, and Dene, Danginea, the Georgi, Duchine, Chick, now, Chick, Duchin, now, Nashi, Enea, Denegin Yamlen Jetubachi, Sambege, and the Gans with Tubakia, Denegin Yamlen Jetualia, and Chicalamidam de Jingi Labroche, Sebi, and Jilap Duchinas, Jadan to Duchina Samtangora.
Moreover, how we should also all relate to this is rejoicing in the qualities of Lama Atisha, in our good fortune at having encountered this text, and having an open and receptive attitude. We should generate the aspiration, I will train just like these great masters. They are my role models. I want to turn out like they have, and therefore I will apply myself just like they did. Then we can turn to our lamas for their blessings, for the blessings of these entire lineages, so that we can, there's this aspiration that we give rise to, that this can settle within us, and we can apply ourselves consistently to transform our minds through engaging in hearing, reflecting, and meditating.
Tsongkhapa chene jikma Session na de mase kedin chimbores jerum jo korongi nyamlen na an nyamlen na ya nganzulya an nyamlen jegori sedang nganzulya dusin lobden na de joji dusin dusu kishe yenden den yore senga sombadi denegi dela dene jerum nganzulya zewi tonde somba dela dene nganzugi an ji joji yenden de da dusin 하고 두손 되네 자다오네 다 되네 장이 진짜로 장한줄이 배면서 그린 첨보다 되네 된자다 아주 장주 람른 지부다 배는 아주 그 직시 장야자 디나데 아주 약고지 고투고 말에 냠내린 바디 다다시 세부 샤차도 말에 되자 제르무 지게 될 람림이야 딩나마 두신의 세션나 진 람른유 donda nyamle rimba tenga to na de be ma se keten chimboda chi shihoji keten chibu yin sanbege da jerum chele and chige deba da ane yen kesi de joje na shin jine jerum chele ya ane chi keten jesu kaso kewal jesu iran ja ane deba ja dene ganzol ya lamrim dene ding jo kaso re lamringi donda de lamrim ding ton sungwa de be ma se keten chibu yin de za da an 저기 후다 바다지네 소식이 배전 제제한 저기 제 람림 딩들이야 퇴섬 검숨 제대 제네 람르인지 don다 니보다 차사 냠는 제토바디 지인선 배당 아주 두스네 당 아주 디 디기 남다르되게 파 지금 저기 Chinyan Jebiki, Dundaning Bodil, Nazo Samroji, Dushine, Martha Chasan, and Dango Korwada, the Niki Tantubaina, Tangazuki, Chike, Jesuira, Gia, Debagia, Rangiti, Yamlin Jedu, Dumbagia Chaza, the Gawachagore, Manazu Gulia, the Yamlin Sedi, Namdar Lobigi, Yamlin Jedi, Dushin Samda Chagorova.
So furthermore, also through what we already know of Lama Tsongkhapa's life, we can see that what he is doing here is inspiring us to practice like Lama Atisha did, which is what Lama Tsongkhapa himself did. He was the living embodiment of someone who looked at Lama Atisha and said, "You attained the perfect result, I will train just like you did." And he lived his life also engaging in extensive hearing, reflecting and meditating, relying on many great teachers and so forth, just like Lama Atisha. So we see here the examples of the lineage lamas. They don't all just point to a foundational teacher such as Lama Atisha and say, be like him. They themselves live the life of the student, emulating their role model, their teachers. So here we can recognize this is how the great masters of the lineage all train. Now we can turn our mind to Lama Tsongkhapa, just like Lama Atisha, recognizing their tremendous kindness, that they set out as such perfect examples for us to later emulate. For example, Lama Tsongkhapa, he is composing of the middle Lamrim. He didn't do this for his own benefit. He did this for the benefits of his students and later generations of students. He did so as to make the meaning of the lamp on the path as clear as possible for his students and subsequent generations. So here we can generate a sense of appreciation for what he has done, recognizing his tremendous kindness, and also, as towards Lama Atisha to Lama Tsongkhapa, we can generate an openness, a trust, in committing that I will follow their example. In the same way that Lama Atisha presented this example of how to live a life, and Lama Tsongkhapa followed that example, I too will act like him and all the other great lamas in the lineage, and I will also do my very best to engage in what remains of this life, to hear, to reflect, and to meditate. So this is the purpose of the biography. This is why Lama Tsongkhapa included it here at the outset of the text. So for us, all of us, myself included, we rejoice in the qualities of these great beings, and through the resulting faith and aspiration that arises, commit to train our minds to live our life just like they did. So then, that then is how to relate to what we've looked at tonight and over the preceding classes. Tomorrow we'll conclude this section, looking in brief at some of the great students that Atisha had, both in India and then in Tibet. So there's still some time, so if you have questions, then please feel free to ask.
I'd like to clarify something on the last paragraph on page 9. Just when it's presented that Atisha had numerous lineages, such as the lineage of the common people and the lineage of the Mahayana. I just want to check my understanding because something made a doubt just when it was presented. So the lineage of the Mahayana, that's separate, but the common people, my understanding is it's the hearer and the solitary realizer. But of course the Bodhisattva does practice those, but the Bodhisattva's paths or lineage is not part of the common vehicle.
So the question then is relating to the last paragraph at the bottom, page 9. So it was said that the common vehicle includes all three types of practitioner, hero, solitary realizer, and bodhisattva. Is that the case? Is the bodhisattva included in the common vehicle? Is it just the hero and the solitary realizer?
My understanding is that a bodhisattva practices these things, but it's made up of the lineages of hero and solitary realizer.
So my understanding is that the bodhisattva practices the common vehicle, but the common vehicle is made up of the practices of a hero and solitary realizer.
Yeah. Or the lineage of the hero and solitary realizer. Yeah, because it didn't be lineage in practice, right?
Tumoa said that Nyandueda Ranja is Roa, Chisan Yamlin Che, Karisne Kasa, Tumoa said Geshe Mara, Karit Yamlin, Tumoa and Yamlan Baja or Chisan Tumoa and Yamlin Church, Ranja da, Chanju Semba Chibu Mind by Nyandueda Ranja and Yamlin Chogoya Tisura, Chogoya Tisura. Tumoa said, Tumoa, Chala, Tumoa, the Michil Tumoa La Marwa, Chisan Chala Chile Tumoa said Shigarua. Chizada Tumoa Yamling Jimba Laviodu and Yamling Rebatar Marshal said, Tumoa said, Nyandu Ranja Digia, Chanju Semba Jang Mayimba, Yamlin Mayimba, Nyandu Ranja and Yamlin Chokohedi, Rikti, and Ma Damario Hesura. Chizadi that is Gansa Tumoa said, many the Nyandu Ranja Shana Digore, Yamlin Tumo and Yamlin Rimba said, Gansa didn't Yandu Ranja. Digi Yamlin Chigures, Jayagi, Rimba de Chanju Semba Janja Mayimba, Jesuke Yamlin Chigoyagi, Rimba de Tumo, Digarelana, Jimba Children Soba Jundu, something shut up Digire. Di Chanju Semba Chipu Yamlin Jia Mare, Yandu Ranja and Yamlin Chigur Hesur. Chisada, Tumo and Yamlin Chigures, Su Yamlin Gasa Su Yamlin Chigures, Yandu Yaranja and Yamlin Chigures. Tumo said the carre, Tumo said, Yamlin Riba Lamdil go, that's all Tumo. These Suji or Jajusemba Janja Mare, Konzu Yamlin, Koze Chigore said, Suji or said Yandu Ranja Chigore said go.
Yes, your understanding is correct. That what is included in the common vehicle, is that right? In the common vehicle, is the practices that are in common between the hero, solitary realizer, and bodhisattva. So these would be what is in common is the practices. So that is what's referred to as the common vehicle, and these are the practices of the hero and solitary realizer that the bodhisattva would also then engage in. So practices such as generosity and so forth. So yes, as you question.